Listen, most people think attraction is about looks, money, or saying the right clever line at the right time. That's the surface story. The real story happens much deeper, in parts of the brain that evolved long before language, logic, or dating advice ever existed. Attraction is not romantic, it's biological, it's neurological. And once you understand that, you stop chasing attention and start pulling it. Here's the thing nobody tells you. People don't fall for who you are. They fall for how their nervous system feels around you. 1. The first psychological lever is emotional contrast, and this is where most people accidentally sabotage themselves. The human brain is wired to notice change, not consistency. If you're always available, always agreeable, always predictable, the brain categorizes you as background noise. Attraction spikes when someone feels a shift, calm after tension, mystery after clarity, distance after connection. This isn't cruelty, it's neuroscience. Dopamine fires strongest during anticipation, not reward. So when you pace emotional access instead of dumping everything at once, the brain leans in. The practical takeaway is simple. Don't rush familiarity. Let conversations breathe. End interactions on a high point instead of dragging them to exhaustion. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. 2. Next comes perceived value, which has nothing to do with arrogance and everything to do with scarcity. In survival psychology, anything scarce is automatically treated as valuable. Water in a desert, silence in chaos, calm in panic. Humans apply the same rules socially. When your time, attention, and approval aren't freely available, the brain assigns higher worth to them. This works because the mind evolved to prioritize limited resources. The mistake people make is over-explaining themselves to be liked. The insight is that calm certainty is more attractive than validation seeking. The practical example is this: speak less, but mean more. Don't fill silence out of nervousness. Silence signals confidence and control. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. 3. Then there's mirroring, but not the obvious kind people teach in shallow self-help books. Real mirroring happens at the emotional level, not posture or word choice. When someone feels understood, their brain releases oxytocin, the same chemical linked to bonding and trust. This is why strangers can feel familiar in minutes. You're not copying them, you're reflecting their internal state. If they're excited, match the energy. If they're reserved, slow down. The practical takeaway is to listen for emotional tone, not content. Respond to how they feel, not just what they say. That's how you create instant psychological safety, which often gets mistaken for chemistry. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. 4. Another powerful trigger is uncertainty combined with safety. This sounds contradictory, but it's how the brain stays engaged without going into defense mode. In nature, total predictability means no stimulation, and total chaos means danger. Attraction lives in the middle. When someone feels safe with you but can't fully predict you, curiosity stays alive. This is why humor works, especially slightly dark humor. It introduces surprise without threat. The practical move is to avoid oversharing your future intentions too early. Let people discover layers over time. Mystery isn't secrecy, it's pacing. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. 5. Now let's talk about self-regulation, because this is where attraction quietly lives or dies. Humans subconsciously scan others for emotional stability. In crisis psychology, we gravitate toward the calmest person in the room because calm signals survival competence. If you're reactive, needy, or emotionally volatile, the brain flags risk, even if the person can't explain why. The insight here is brutal but freeing. Attraction increases when you can hold your emotional center without demanding reassurance. The practical takeaway is to respond, not react. Pause before answering emotionally charged moments. That pause alone changes how you're perceived. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. 6. There's also the power of purpose, which operates beneath conscious attraction. People are drawn to direction the way lost hikers follow someone with a map. When you're clearly moving towards something, building, learning, creating, the brain associates you with momentum. Momentum feels safe. Stagnation feels risky. This isn't about bragging, it's about orientation. The practical example is grounding conversations in what you're building or exploring, not what you're lacking. Direction is magnetic because it suggests future survival. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. 7. Finally, here's the darkest truth about attraction. People feel most connected to those who make them feel more themselves, not impressed, not rescued, not entertained, seen. When someone's identity feels reinforced around you, their brain links you to comfort and authenticity. That's powerful. And it only works if you're not trying to perform. The practical takeaway is this: drop the act. Speak plainly. React honestly. Calm presence beats clever manipulation every time. Attraction isn't something you do to people. It's something that happens when their nervous system relaxes around you. Once you understand this, attraction stops feeling mysterious or random. It becomes predictable, human, and strangely simple. You don't chase, you don't convince, you create conditions where interest grows naturally. And the people who feel drawn to you won't always know why, but their biology will.